And hello, Zoom. We're just going to put you on record. Hello, everybody, again. So I'm really excited about tonight's session for you all. So we've covered how to use the task efficiency versus ability relationship and knowledge model, the TEvARK model, for our own personal growth. We've covered how to apply that to our own business. And now we're going to apply it to where this model originated from. I designed it to create and develop my own people within my own business and within large organizations. So what we're going to cover tonight is a learning needs analysis as to what you can do in order to plan the learning needs and skills needs within your business or within yourself as well. So if you're an employee, or if you're a solopreneur, or if you're an intrapreneur, you're someone who is aspiring to build and grow and produce and innovate things in a current business setting, or an entrepreneur, of course, if you have a startup business and you bring in on people and you want them people to do more to fulfill your business needs. Now, this is going out live on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitter, on X, formerly known as Twitter, and also on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X. So that's the 5. So you'll be able to see this live. The main area that this is on is through LinkedIn, and then I'm uploading them onto YouTube in the Ian Smith group. So subscribe and like to the Ian Smith group, and you'll get these live sessions uploaded, and you won't need to look through my feeds on LinkedIn, X, Facebook, TikTok, and the 5th one. All right. So let's cover learning needs analysis. Main learning needs analysis obviously starts with people at the center of your business. When you're thinking about developing your own people, think about what development needs they are going to need to fulfill the business needs. So in terms of your business needs, do you want to increase sales? Do you need to have more qualified people in a certain area? Do you need to have more experienced people in a certain area? Do you need to bring your sales team on through mentorship programs and develop people along the way? Are you a person in your current business that wants to get a promotion? And can you identify business needs that you're able to ask for development in order to succeed and develop your own experience and learning in your own business? What are the business needs in your current business? If you have your own business, if you're a startup, all the way up to a blue chip organization, within your own function of a business, what needs of the business do you need to fulfill to ensure the success and the growth and sustainability of the business? So number 1 is understanding the key business needs. You can refer to the previous live session on the task efficiency versus ability relationship and knowledge for the business, because you will have established your key success factors, SMART objectives, and those will form the business needs. Second is to understand the learning needs within the business to fulfill the business needs. Learning and skills needs to fulfill the business needs. So you understand the success criteria of your own business. What are the gaps that you have right now if you want to optimize operations, for example, if you want to optimize your expenses? Do you need to have someone, for example, doing more? Do they need to double hat in certain roles? And therefore, do they need to develop in the business for them to take on more work. If you've identified a business need and you want to grow into that area in your business, then what is it that you need to learn and understand and everything else? This is called learning and skills, because there are elements within the business, i.e. learning needs, that you'll be able to cater for much more sustainably and much more economically as well. So putting in place a mentorship program or an apprentice program to take apprentices who have recently qualified, coming in straight from their university degree, straight from school, straight from college. They've got the relevant qualifications, but you're able to assign them a mentor, for example, and allow them to learn much more economically than sending them externally to another organization and have to pay more for that. Now, there is a need for skills outside of the company, where you want to send your own people to get certifications for their own continuing professional development. And so this is about identifying the learning needs and the skills needs, the performance needs best met by learning. So we'll put here learning, because this TEvARK model is going to demonstrate how you can take people within your business and how you yourself in the business can learn from mentees, from mentors, as mentees throughout your journey in the TEvARK growth model. And so understanding the learning needs, understand what learning is needed, what's best met internal within the business. Okay. Then number three is being able to specify learning needs and any performance gaps. So now you're making it much more specific. Specify learning and development needs, performance gaps. Okay. Now, you can understand the performance gaps by when you go through the identification of the learning and skills needs, you can assess things that you will already have within the business. So you may have objectives that you want to meet. That are more relevant to the business needs. You will have, you may have performance management systems within the business, and there may be people who you want to perform more. As I mentioned before, you may have people who are performing fantastically, so therefore they're ready to take on their next challenge, and you want them to learn and take on more responsibility before you're able to promote them. If you yourself are a high performer, or if you feel that you want to learn more in order to do your current role more professionally and more succinctly, and more and develop into a promotion, for example, then you're able to understand by your own performance, what is it that I need to learn and develop into. These then can be specified into the learning and development needs, taking into account any performance gaps. Then, once you've understood the business needs, you understand the learning needs and the needs that can be catered for externally. So things like certification, licenses, things that you might not necessarily do in-house. And also there might be learning needs that you can cater for in-house by leveraging experienced employees to mentor less experienced employees and learners. Then you can specify which needs are most applicable to meet the business needs from the learning and skills needs, from any performance gaps and things like that. So then I'm all about action. So then you translate these needs into action. Action. So it's called an intervention, but I think that's quite a strong word. If, for example, you do have a low performer in your business, then you could obviously make that intervention to say, we're going to provide you with some internal learning. This person is going to mentor you, and they're going to take you through these stages and define objectives and key performance indicators for you to get back on track. You can also put in place things like, we want to grow this department and we don't want to recruit from external sources. We want to develop our own talent indoors because we have a top-notch sales team. We want to grow the sales team, but we don't want to recruit. We want to have that bench of people that can work with clients if we need them to, that can jump into pitches and presentations if we need them to. And then you can start thinking about succession planning as well. So when you understand your business needs and the key objectives of the business, taking into account performance of people, you can put in place the people strategy. And let's put succession planning here. Succession planning. That's quite a good one for your people strategy as well. Succession planning. Then you can translate all of this into action. Number 5, and this will all become very much apparent as to how the growth model will fit once you've understood the needs of the business, which you have done, the key objectives that you want to meet, succession planning, put these things in place, and how. It's a good job we can edit this, right? It's not like it's live or anything. So then you understand the succession planning, and you're able to specify the needs to meet the key succession plan and the people strategy, bring people on to get promoted. If you yourself are in the business, bring yourself on to get promoted. Also, if you have people who have learning needs to do their job more professionally and be more experienced, which of these needs can be catered for internally and which indeed need to be catered for externally. So 5, you can get down to the L&D planning. And don't worry, this isn't a typing error or a writing error. We've said translate into action here. Part of the action in terms of L&D planning is you start allocating the SMART objectives. So we'll put here SMART objectives, and I'll just draw quickly the TEvARK diagram, because that's the part that we're going to cover today. But you'll be able to complete the baseline of where you're at right now more succinctly once you've established these first 4 steps. One thing you can also start to look at in terms of the planning, again, is to put in place KPIs, so allow you to measure the performance of the learning and development that you put in place, so that you can demonstrate that everyone's time has been well spent. A great indicator is your sales teams. If you want to bring on your sales teams and you've assigned new members of the team's mentors, how have their figures gone up in consequence of going through the growth model? Very similarly, if you've assigned people who take part in your operations and they need to be more quicker or brought on, or they're maybe new to the organization, you assign them a mentor to show them the ropes, so to speak. How has their production gone up? How has their performance improved? And these can all be established within key project indicators and key objectives that you assign employees through job descriptions and through objectives in terms of people performance management throughout their career. Also, if you can be accountable, hold yourself accountable as well. You can create your own SMART objectives, and you can present these proactively to your boss, to other key stakeholders within the organization. You can also, as an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, you can hold yourself accountable as to say, for me, for example, I'm doing some quite high level charterships and leadership L&D myself, and I've set myself targets and milestones as to which level I want to be at the end of the time period, and so I'll hold myself accountable to that, starting from the baseline and working my way up to make my tasks more efficient, to increase my ability, relationship, and knowledge. You can also assign budgets here, and business cases as well. You don't need to make an industry out of this, and I say that a lot. You don't need to make an industry out of it. Sometimes it's required. This one in particular, I needed to go through about 6 senior leadership team members before I got a chance to present at the senior leadership team meeting. So putting in place a mentorship program, or putting in place a learning and development program, or developing your people, you need to have a high emotional intelligence factor, or a high EQ, and understand the culture of the organization. If the culture of the organization allows for mentors and mentees and things like that, then in my opinion, you're on to a winner. You've got a growth culture because you're growing your people to the success and meeting the business needs of your business. If it's not something that's done right now in your business, then okay. I would advise that you take a look at what learning needs can be satisfied inside the business, leveraging your own people's skills, because it's not just the learners that benefit from this, it's the mentors themselves. Also, when they bring other people on in the business, and all of this comes down to the business needs. So the reason why I mention that is because sometimes when you allocate budgets, you may be asked for a business case. The business case can be satisfied by your SMART objectives that you'll allocate in your TEvARK growth model. And then 6. That's the fun part, and that's the punchline, so stay till the end. 6 is where you evaluate the L&D efforts. Okay. All right. So just to summarize before we get onto the growth model, you've established your business needs. What does success look like for your business? Is it increased sales, increased pricing, optimize costs of sales, optimize expenses to increase your profit margins? Do you want to grow organically? Do you want to expand your workforce? Do you want to expand a new production line? Do you want to get into a new market? Do you want to grow organically by bottling your current business and moving it into another part of the country or part of the world? Do you want to go and buy a business as well? Have you bought a business and you need to integrate the business, and therefore with prior knowledge and notice, do you need to bring your own people on to be able to put things into process to allow integration to be much more streamlined? You can do all of this leveraging the growth model by establishing your business needs, understanding the key objectives and performance management factors in terms of performance levels, understanding what learning and skills needs can be taken into account inside and outside the organization. Then you can specify the learning needs and nail any performance gaps, again using the learning needs analysis. And then translate that into an action plan. So we have these needs in the business because we want to grow in sales by this much, and therefore we might need more salespeople. We might need to train our account managers differently so that they can adopt a new way of demonstrating customer value. We might want to bring on a new account manager because we're currently bidding for a new piece of work, and that account manager will be new to the organization, and that he or she or they will need to have some form of development training and induction training and things like that. So the timescales can be interchangeable depending on the learning needs, but the main point about putting it into action is to take into account the key success factors that you've allocated within your business. If it's a problem you need to solve, if it's a growth objective that you have, then translate it into action in terms of how you're going to bring your people on with you is the key element of this. Then you can start to plan learning needs by teams, by individuals, not just for the learners, but also for the mentors within the business, the coaches within the business. And then how are you going to evaluate success of the learning efforts? So this is a whole book. This is just a summary of a learning needs analysis. If you want to look it up, it's the Learning Needs Analysis by the CIPD, the Chartered Institute of Personnel Development. Once you've got to this stage, you've understood your business needs, you understand what learning and skills need and succession plan, people strategy you can put in place. Specify the learning needs to take into account these two. Put that into action. Start to put in place SMART objectives, KPIs, budgets, and a business case if you need one. And then within that business case, of course, you're going to put in place how you're going to evaluate the L&D efforts. And there's a plan for that. So I'm going to rub this off and we're going to get straight into the growth model right now. So just talk amongst yourselves while we do this. Okay. So, nice clean board. Now you've gone through the 6 steps. What's very important is you baseline your current position. So I call it holding up the mirror. You can do it for yourself in terms of your own personal growth. You can do it to a current team. You can do it to a group of people. You can do it to your own business. And that's essentially the starting point. So from today, a good case for this is a current job description of someone that wants to develop, whether that's you who wants to develop and get a promotion, whether it's a term of reference for a current team or subsidiary within your own business. For example, if you have a factory and you're growing organically into another production facility, you'll have a term of reference and processes and technical maintenance standards and policy and objectives that your current business is operating at. And you will have that as a baseline, at least that you want your next operation to perform at. But of course, you want that operation to grow as well. Your people, when you go through the recruitment process, you of course send out some form of job description, job advertisement that explains a little bit about your business, ideally your definite purpose, your plan for the future and your core values, then key objectives that the role is aiming to meet, the criteria and quality and qualifications of the candidates that you're going to be recruiting for. When you have one of those, that's a great baseline to start from. It could be a high standard, but that's a minimum standard. When you come into an organization or when you have a business plan is another good way of looking at it as well. That's your key growth criteria to start from. And where can you go from that starting point to allow you to increase your task efficiency, to increase your ability, relationship, and knowledge. So what we can put in here from today, if we look at our own people and teams, we can put things like current terms of reference. Now, I talked about terms of reference when we're setting up projects and programs and driving change and transformation within organizations. A term of reference is basically a sheet of paper, ideally on one sheet, that anyone in that team can pick up and say, this is what we're here to achieve. These are the key project indicators, or these are the service levels that we're aiming to achieve. This is why we're here. This is what we will talk about. these are the agenda items, and if there's a problem, we need to talk to these people, but we're here to make these decisions. So objectives, key criteria, and expectations in terms of the quality and qualifications of the people. So in terms of reference, we can put in here things like job description, contract of work. All of these things are great data points to act as a baseline. So it's not like mechanical or black and white. There is obviously a softer element to this because we're talking about humans and people. And that's why the growth model is so versatile and actually benefits people, in my opinion, more so in its use. So you can also think about your own current qualifications, experience, network, and you can also think about salaries. You can also think about how much you're paying people, but also how much, if you're doing this yourself, how much you're currently getting paid. Because you want to grow and you want to earn more money, and that will form your why at the end of the day. If you're a business or you want to leverage performance out of a business unit, the why could be a monetary value or a percentage point of increased sales or margins, for example. It could be to expand a team of a certain number, and what do you need to do in order to get there? We focus this back on people, then we can put in salary. Okay, and that's why when we're talking about these areas of expertise, of monetary remuneration and things like that, once a person gets to the end of the of step 6, if you go into this does follow 6 steps again, gets to the vision and the SMART objectives. They might ask for more money, and they might deserve it as well. They've managed to make their current task so efficient that they've increased their ability, relationship, and knowledge, and they've gone through the step-by-step process that you've allocated, and you've agreed with them mutually as well. You've allocated to them a mentor, and then as long as the business need and SMART objective has been met in consequence of this person learning and developing, as well as doing their current tasks, then they deserve a promotion and some more money. Does that promotion and some more money therefore offset accretively to the success of the business? And that, in my opinion, is how you bring your people on. So what we will do from today is you've got a current term of reference or job description or contract. These are your current qualifications, current experience. This is your current network and your current salary. So what we're going to do is we're going to baseline that and say, you know, if you're a person working in a job, and I for my personal self, I have a baseline which is quite large. I expect quite a lot from myself. But I have a baseline as a minimum as to what I'm expected in myself to perform. And so if your employees, or if you as an employee working in another business, or if you're a leader of a business, this will be the minimum requirement for them to satisfy. And you'll have people who just do the minimum. And I don't use the word just lightly, but you'll have people who will be coming in early every morning and leaving late on an evening. And you'll have those people that really want to get stuff done and make things really, really good for themselves and make things much better for you and the business. Now, the agreement that you should have with the people in the business is, we want to develop you, we want to see you grow. You've been performing incredibly well, and so we're going to assign you a mentor. Better still, is there anyone who you would like to mentor you? And the reason why I say that for my own personal reasons is I would like to choose a mentor within the business, I don't disagree with assigning mentors, but you need to take into account how these two people or these teams are going to get along through the development steps. So the agreement is you have your job. You have this baseline here that's required of you. So now, how can we help you, and how can you help yourself make this current task more efficient so that you can then increase your ability, relationship, and knowledge? And there'll be assessments along the way. And they can be as light touch or as rigorous as you want, depending on maybe the performance risk or the risk associated and culture within your current business. So, for example, if you're taking on an apprentice electrician, you will absolutely need to ensure that you've got things like risk assessments in place. You'll have to make sure that they're performing at a certain level to do certain tasks, and they've got the certain accreditations and certifications, etc., for them to do these extra duties and extra work. If, for example, you want someone to come on into your sales team, you know that they're an experienced salesperson, but you just want to make sure that they're going to fulfill their duties, number one. Two, ideally, they've got a book of business that they can bring into the company. And so you want to ensure that that's integrated and the person who you brought in is happy with working with your business and bringing this business into your business to fulfill the business needs. And so where I'm going with this is that step-by-step evaluation might be as simple as, wow, yeah, we've won this client, we've won this client. So it can be from one end of the scale to another. These 5 steps are for you to allocate the necessary processes that you need to within your current business and with your current mentees, mentors, and teams. So we'll draw the TEvARK. So we've got task efficiency, versus ability, relationships, and knowledge. Okay, so what we'll do is we will just draw these steps. Cool. So going through the process, when you're developing people or when you're developing yourself, you need to have some form of recognition and understanding as to you've increased your task efficiency to increase your ability, relationship, and knowledge. If you go back to the simple quality measures of ISO 9000, plan, do, check, act, say what you do what you say, improve it, and then improve it. So you need to be able to measure these steps to ensure that this person or team has indeed ascended to increase their ability, relationship, and knowledge. And this can be in terms of a qualification. This can be in terms of experience and demonstration of work. It can be done through a professional interview within the business or a professional interview outside of the business. But how can you determine whether this person has, number one, continued to deliver their current baseline duties? Number two, they've made it more efficient, so they've increased their ability, relationship, and knowledge to deliver more value into your business to meet the current business needs. So what I've done is I've put in place 5 key stage gates to get to point 6. Now, stage gates are, again, you can make an industry out of stage gates. So before you pass through a gate, an assessment is needed. That's what a stage gate is. And you agree for each stage gate what criteria will be met before you can pass through the stage gate. Very similar to a risk assessment before you do any construction work, before you erect a scaffold. You think things like lockout, tagout. If you can't not do it. So a stage gate is a list of criteria that you're going to meet at each level when you ascend up the TEvARK, up the growth model, that you can agree with your team, with your mentor or mentee, that yes, you've achieved this level, and yes, you've continued to deliver your current duties. So number 1, number 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Number 1 is you're at an informing stage. Okay. So you're able to describe the role, you're able to recognize the objectives and the new experience and everything else. You're able to talk intuitively about it. You're knowledgeable about it, and you've spent time working with the mentee and on the job to be able to demonstrate that. And this can be signed off by mentee. It can be done again through an interview, it can be done through assessment. Again, you don't need to make an industry out of this, because eventually this person or people are going to get here and say, you know, we're ready now, you know, we've met this objective, we're ready for the next stage. And, you know, we might want compensating for that, or we might want to celebrate that in some way, and I would recommend you do. So informing is the first milestone that you're able to assess and understand. Once a person has made their own task more efficient, you can get them to an informing stage about their new duties and new aspirations of development to meet the business needs. And that's the other important about this model, is you can implement this very, very economically within your business. When you're assigning your own internal people to bring your own people on through this process to meet business needs, without external recruitment, albeit sometimes you do need to recruit externally, without external skills and learning needed, you're able to deliver these steps to allow your people to ascend up to meet the business objectives. So number two is you're able to consult on the subject. You know, you're able to understand the skills and knowledge and capability of the team that you're in, or of the new role that you want to do. You're able to, again, consult on it and advise people on it. And again, you continue to make your task more efficient, building from step number one, from informing. You've been able to build on that, continuing to do your own task efficiency to increase your ability, relationship, and knowledge to be able to consult. And again, through that stage gate, you can allocate key criteria from an experienced person or a highly qualified person or a leader or a boss or yourself. If you've passed exams, for example, to do new learning and development and things, key criteria to ensure that the evaluation can prove that you are indeed of this level of experience and qualification. Three is you're now kind of in partnership with the group or mentors, or in the new team that you want to evolve into. You're literally still performing the same tasks that you've been able to make more efficient, but now by building on 1 and 2, you have this extra level that you're now able to you're almost double hatting there now. So you've got your current role, and you're able to deliver in partnership. You're one of the team now. You're on the bench ready to play. So that's why number 3 is partnership. Okay. Number four is you become semi-autonomous. So you're trusted and only need checking in on type of scenario. So again, semi-autonomous. If a good analogy is learning how to drive. So you start off learning how to drive, learning a little bit about the car, you start doing your theory and things like that. And then once you learn a bit more your theory, you get a bit better at driving. and you're able to explain, and we've all done it, sit in the passenger seat and tell other people how to drive. Then you're in partnership with your instructor, because he, she, or they will be able to leave you to it to drive yourself for a little while. And then just before you're ready to take your test, you're semi-autonomous. You might be driving with your parents without assisted brakes and steering and things like that. So again, by building on your ability, relationship, and knowledge, you're able to take another step to being semi-autonomous in your development journey. So we'll put here semi-autonomous. Okay. And then 5 is empowered. Five is empowered. So you're able now to delegate quite a bit of your own tasks. You're still maintaining your own tasks, and by building on this ability, relationship, and knowledge, you've carried on delivering all of this work and made it so efficient that you're now able to take on a new position, or you've developed a person to be your successor, because you've spent that much time with them that they've continued performing well in their own role, and you've taught them pretty much everything you can, as an example. Or even you can do this with full teams. Once you've brought the full team on, they've all gone off and done their own duties, but when they're part of a team, they're able to do so much more in terms of ability, relationship, and knowledge. So you can put in place, if you go back to the 6 steps for the learning needs analysis, you understood your business needs. So I know it's 6 here, but it's number 1 on business needs, because although it's number 6 in terms of the steps, you always start with the why as well. You've identified the learning needs and the performance needs within the business, and also your people strategy and your succession plan. So then you can start to specify learning needs and any performance gaps. So then you can start to tap people on shoulders. If you yourself are in a business and take a commercial view, believe me, it works. Identify your business need that's not being filled. Explain this is what you need to do in order to fill it, and you'll continue doing your own personal duties. And then ask, and even create create a business case to say, this is what needs to happen, and I'd like you, it was actually the MD, to mentor me, and this is how we're going to go, and this is how I'm prepared to be evaluated, and I'll interview for a promotion and what have you. And it worked. So going back to the learning needs analysis, then step 5, you started to plan. So you started to put in place the baseline, understanding the KPIs and objectives that you'll be evaluated on, and essentially allocated a budget, and that could be a monetary budget, and it can also be a time budget as well. So how much time, if you're a services company or a consultancy business and you charge your people or yourself by time, then bringing your own people on shouldn't be seen as an expense, but it needs to be evaluated to ensure that the time relative to the cost is achieving the business needs, which is why we start with the why, the business needs. And then number 6 in the learning needs analysis, and the number 6 in the TEvARK empowerment steps, that's when you start evaluating relative to your SMART objectives. So you've brought this person on, they've continued to deliver their own objectives, they've double-hatted. So if they've double-hatted, then that's a win, because they're already optimizing cost, whether it's whether directly attributable to an account or a P&L, or whether it's an expense. If they're double-hatting, then you're winning, because that could be another person that you might need to have hired, for example. It could be an external skills source that you might need to have paid for, but because you've allocated the time and the person continues to do their own role and double hat and become ready to take on, to be some successor perhaps, then it's a win. You've met your business objectives. And so once you've done this is the beauty of the growth model, is, for example, We'll leave all of these steps here. Let's say that this person, how are we doing? Yeah, great. So we've done 45 minutes. Let's say that this person, their job description was a director. We'll put director there. Let's say that their qualifications, they have an MBA. Let's say their salary was 75k per year. Okay. They might have had a small network. They've got a current contract and they might have terms of reference or something. They've got a current contract in place. So this could be a sales manager or an account manager, and they've been high performing, and you need an account director to take on multiple accounts. You don't want to go externally. You'd rather recruit from within and leverage your own people, and so you should. And the people, again, I come back to this, the people who are watching this, who are those account managers, who are those people who want to get promoted, please watch this and take it into account, take a commercial view and identify the business needs that you can fulfill. Because if you're able to say, I'll continue doing my job, I might need some help in terms of a mentor, but these are the learning steps I'm willing to take. This is how you can assess me on it. But that's the job I want at the end of it. And this is the value you'll get once I've done it. Then it's very tough to say no to. And my opinion, business owners, decision makers, don't say no to it. You're going to have someone who's absolutely dynamite in your company that you shouldn't let go. So they've gone through all of this, and they're currently a director. So let's say they're a successor for a VP, or they're a successor for an MD. So the beauty of this is that once you've established task efficiency and increased your ability, relationship, and knowledge, you can come back and you can re-baseline. So they're no longer the director because they've achieved all of this. They've now been promoted to an MD, and they've got a pay rise. Let's say they go up to 85 or maybe even 90 per annum. Exactly the same. I don't want to MD. I don't want to be an MD. Now I want to be a VP, or I want to be a head of, or I want to be a CEO or part of the C-suite. And so these are the steps I'm willing to take. And I'll continue doing my role as an MD. And this might take me 5 years, perhaps. It might take me a year. It might take me 2 years. But I'm willing to go through these steps and work with this person and these people in order to develop myself, and I'm willing to maybe go outside the organization, obviously, and network and do things like that, and have industry leadership and go through these things. So let's go again. Let's re-baseline again. So now they're the CEO, and they might be getting paid 150, let's say, just as an example. But the whole point with this is that you've established key steps that you can continuously re-baseline and continually go through every evaluation step. So once you've gone through step 1 and you've gone through informing, well, you've got a new baseline now. So you can add to that to go on to consult. And you can add to that to go on to being a partner and almost double hatting, add to that to be semi-autonomous, add to that to be empowered in the new position to meet the objectives and meet the business needs. And then you can see the key steps 5 and 6. That's the growth model. So by all means, these are going to be on YouTube. Watch them back. Send me your questions if you have any questions. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're an employee within a business that wants to be promoted, if you're a business that wants to develop their own people, if you're a business that wants to expand its operations, if you're thinking of buying another business, these growth models that I've explained this week will set you in good stead to start with the end in sight with your key success factors and business objectives. Start with the baseline as to where you're at right now. what you want to achieve in the future, continue to evaluate success and re-baseline, how you bring yourself on in terms of personal growth, how you bring your business on, and how you can demonstrated that, as well as how you can put a demonstrated action plan in place to grow your business, not just by implementing a strategy, but by bringing your people on with you as well. And then how you can bring your people on through growth to meet the business needs. And that's in line with CIPD as well, because I had to do it to implement it into a blue chip FTSE 250 company. And those are the 5 steps. These are interchangeable, so you can change these, is what I'm saying. So these are just guides as to which levels you can get your people at to assess their performance. You can obviously add different criteria and KPIs for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then you're able to re-baseline and bring your people on throughout the steps of growth. My model, so it's very versatile. You're able to use it to bring yourself on, bring your business on, and bring your people on. So I hope you enjoyed these live sessions. There'll be another 3 next week. So I did promise that the punchline would be that once you've established business needs, you can then continue to re-baseline and you continuously develop your people. You can implement your people strategy, your succession planning, business continuity planning, and things like that, and continue to use the growth model. So I look forward to hearing your questions, and I will see you again next week.